It's spin, it's opinion, it's ospinion. Really, that's in the Urban Dictionary. You can look it up. I'm Charlie Sykes, and Sunday Insight starts right now. You never know what you're going to hear. Good morning. Welcome to Sunday Insight. In the week that was, the president is inaugurated for a second term and lays out an unapologetically liberal agenda. Beyonce lip-syncs the national anthem. A big win in court for Scott Walker. The federal appeals court upholds his collective bargaining reform in its entirety. In Madison, sharp divisions over the mining bill. A former Milwaukee alderman stuns his colleagues by recounting how a local businessman tried to bribe him. And speaking of former alderman, Michael McGee Jr. is out of federal prison and now gets to start his state term. He was convicted of taking bribes and a whole bunch of other crimes. The Pentagon gives a green light to women in combat. Congress extends the debt limit by 3 months, but Congressman Paul Ryan says that House Republicans will insist on spending cuts. The Super Bowl will pit the two Harbaugh brothers against one another. Their parents actually live around here, but they say they aren't taking sides. The family picnic should be really interesting this year. Democrats roll out legislation to ban what they call assault weapons. Union membership hits a 62-year low. And here's something you don't hear very often. Good news on the budget front. While the federal government continues to bleed red ink, Wisconsin's budget surplus grows to nearly $50 million. But we start with the fireworks on Capitol Hill between outgoing Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson.
No. Again, we were misled that there were supposedly protests and then something sprang out of that, an assault sprang out of that. And that was easily ascertained that was not the fact. And the American people could have known that within days, and they didn't know that.
With all due respect, the fact is we had 4 dead Americans. Was it because of a protest, or was it because of guys out for a walk one night who decided they'd go kill some Americans? What difference at this point does it make? It is our job to figure out what happened and do everything we can to prevent it from ever happening again, Senator.
Joining me on our panel this morning, the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel's Bill Glauber, former Republican State Representative Michelle Litchens, the Milwaukee Community Journal's Michael Holt, and RightWisconsin.com's Brian Fraley. Okay, now, Secretary Clinton asked the question, what difference does it make? Does it make any difference, Bill Glauber?
It makes a difference. It also makes a difference. Senator Johnson, welcome to the Foreign Relations Committee. He tangled with the Secretary of State. The left was aroused and thought that Hillary got the better of the senator. The right believes the senator got the better of Hillary. Boy, he really stepped in the deep end.
Okay, where do you come down on that?
I think that the senator probably needs to do more homework on the Foreign Relations Committee. This is a major committee. I believe if you would look at the questioning that Marco Rubio did of Hillary Clinton and the question that Rand Paul did, not of Hillary Clinton, but of John Kerry, you would see how to proceed.
Okay, Brian Fraley.
We have a sitting Secretary of State saying, what difference does it make if we were attacked by terrorists on the anniversary of 9/11?
Well, actually, she didn't say that, though. What she said was, and she set up a straw man, she said, what difference did it make if they were reacting to the video or they were out for a walk? That wouldn't have made any difference. Well, but it does make a difference if they were Al-Qaeda-linked terrorists who killed the American ambassador on the anniversary of 9/11.
That's just it, and it wasn't just any day, Charlie. I mean, this was something that we should have seen coming. We should have been prepared. If not for the direct assault, been on heightened awareness, maybe had some people with guns ready to shoot back.
All right, Michael.
The whole thing was a fiasco because they should have armed,
but what about that exchange?
But, I don't think either one of them won.
Okay, what difference does it make? What difference does it make why they killed the Americans? Seriously?
What I'm saying, I don't think it makes a difference now because I thought this was going to be a big campaign issue.
Yeah.
But Americans apparently weren't that interested. They assumed everybody over there was a terrorist.
Well, some Americans weren't that interested. Michelle Litchens.
We need to know the answer to that question because if we don't know why the terrorists did it in the first place, we can't stop it from happening again in the future. So I think hats off to Senator Johnson for asking that question and really staying on it for the answer.
Okay, weren't they talking about the talking points?
Well, they were also talking about why were we misled.
Bob Corker probably got it best when he said they were talking past each other. I mean, that's really what was going on there.
I don't think so. Actually, I think that what's interesting, this is kind of a Rorschach test for,
Senator Corker said they were talking past one another. That's what he believed.
Well, no, I understand, but I think this is a Rorschach test because I think that the question that Ron Johnson was asking is, what did we know and when did we know it? When did we know that, in fact, that this was a terrorist attack, not this YouTube video, and that is crucial. Was the American public misled? Was there an attempt to shift the blame to somebody else? And frankly, I remember when the media and liberals thought that people that asked questions, tough questions like, what did you know and when did you know it, they were heroes. And I could not disagree with you more, Bill. I thought that Ron Johnson was effective and he was trying to get an answer. And you could tell that he got under her skin.
I think you should go to the video. I think you should go to the videotape and look at Marco Rubio's questioning, and then
I did look at that,
and then look at Rand Paul's questioning of Kerry. That's how you elicit an answer. That's a real answer.
Well, he did elicit an answer. The fact is that Hillary. I don't think that there's any other political figure in America who would be able to survive a gaffe like that, to say, what difference does it make? Because you know what?
You mean the most popular political figure in America?
Well, you know what? I mean, you know, the media can keep kissing up to her
I'm
and
not
everything.
kissing up to her.
But the reality,
well,
whatever the polls might say here, and I understand that the left won and they don't feel the need to respond to these kinds of things. But to say, when you do have dead Americans, what difference does it make? I'm guessing it makes a difference to their family members, Michelle.
Oh, I think extremely so. And even beyond that, I think what she said, and by not addressing that direct question, that says a lot about what the administration thinks about and how they want to address terrorism in the world.
Okay, now it's already the last Sunday of January, which is nice. Is your glass half empty or half full? We'll start with you, Bill Glauber.
The Harbaugh family. Half full, they're going to the Super Bowl. Half empty, one of them's going to lose. I think the mom got it the best when she said, can it end in a tie?
Yeah, Michelle Litchens.
My glass is certainly half full because of the fact that the House passed a bill saying that you're not going to get paid if you don't pass a budget and you don't do your job out in Washington, D.C. But it's half empty because we know that most politicians out there aren't doing their job and aren't making the tough decisions and balancing the budget.
Michael.
Okay, I know, Charlie, you're going to love this because I heard you on Friday. I just happened to run to Mike McGee Jr. on last Thursday. I looked deeper in his eyes, but I looked deeper into his wife's eyes. And I'm from a Christian background that says we all fall down. I hope he can atone for what he did and contribute some way to the Milwaukee community.
Okay, Brian Fraley.
Is in restitution, or I'm sorry. Oh, my glass is half full because I went to my first daddy-daughter night at my child's preschool, and it was awesome. It was a great night. Glass is half empty because, like every parent has told me for the last 30 years, these kids, they grow so quickly.
Oh, you have no idea. Well, my glass is half full because Republicans appear to be moving ahead on a good mining bill. It's half empty because the reform efforts on the Milwaukee County Board appear to be, well, they appear to be dying. Next on Sunday Insight, how did Wisconsin end up with a budget surplus? And as we go to break, here's one thing we all like from President Obama's inauguration.
Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea, from sea to shining sea.
Well, the state got some good news last week. It will finish the year with a surplus of $484 million. Now, that's up from the $348 million projection made by Governor Walker's administration last November. Walker says that his next budget will cut state income taxes by at least $340 million. Now, that sounds like a big number. It'll save the average family around $200 over the next 2 years. Now, that's about 27 cents a day. Democrats complain that we should spend that money instead. Some conservatives wonder why Walker isn't moving more aggressively to roll back some of the tax increases dropped on the economy by Walker's predecessor, Jim Doyle, whose last budget raised taxes by $2.2 billion. So, Brian Fraley, is this tax hike too big, too small, or just right?
Too small and in the wrong area. You know, far be it from me to criticize the lawmakers in Madison for being too timid because of what they went through 2 years ago. But, you know, that was then and this is now. And you're looking at increasing revenues coming in. You're looking at a balance sheet that's in check because we got labor costs in check with Act 10. So now what I would do is I would start repealing the Doyle tax increases, starting with the new tax bracket that Doyle created and work from there.
Okay, Bill Glover, it is an interesting decision that apparently they didn't want to go to the top tax rate because I guess what are they afraid of being accused of millionaire, you know, cutting the tax of millionaires and billionaires?
Isn't this sort of more the kinder, gentler, more moderate Walker? I think that that's what we're seeing here. I really do.
Yeah, but will that be big enough to change the economy? You used to be in the legislature, Michelle Litchens.
Yeah, and actually, obviously, we have a surplus right now because of the changes that we made 2 years ago, which is wonderful. I think it's a good place to start. I would love to see them roll back all of the Doyle tax increases. But I think we also have to be very aware that our state budget is very dependent on federal money. We don't know how much money we're going to receive toward Medicaid in the future with Obamacare. So I think when we start talking about cutting taxes, we need to be responsible and start small.
Okay, Michael Holt.
I think it was a wise decision on his part, particularly targeted for the middle class. And there's not a whole bunch of money, which leads me to conclusion that he should just put the money back, reinvest it, give it to the schools.
So spend it instead of
give it to the schools. He took over $1 billion from public education. Give it back to the schools, and if there's any left, then put it in reserves. Because
there will never be any left. If you give the schools what they want, there will never be anything left because they always want more.
Enough.
They always want more.
Michael, it's never enough. Wow. It's never enough. This is why, even though it's not a very big tax cut, it's an important tax cut because otherwise, if you leave it around, the politicians will spend it. They're already talking about spending it. Okay, some people pay good money for advice, but we give it weekly free of charge, whether you want it or not. So, you got any unsolicited advice, Bill Glover?
My unsolicited advice would be when you watch the Super Bowl, just think about the Harbaugh family. Seriously, I think this is a great story, a big story, and I'm really looking forward to the game.
Okay, Michelle Litchens.
This goes out to all of the blue-collar Democrats. Talk to your elected officials. Take back your party from the environmentalist extremists and tell them to vote in favor of this mine.
Okay, Michael Holt.
To Ann Wilson, who was appointed to the Fire and Police Commission by our mayor. I would say strap on your seatbelt because it's going to be a rough ride as you go before the Common Council.
Okay, Brian Fraley.
All right, to State Senator Bob Jelk. Look, when you complain about a mining hearing being held in Madison instead of up north, you'd have a lot more credibility if you didn't call into the hearing on speakerphone from Hawaii.
Okay, my advice is to the Milwaukee Archdiocese. Look, if you're broke, and apparently they're running out of money, here's an idea to raise some cash quick. Take that bronze depicting Archbishop Rembert Weekland as a protector of children, put it on eBay, sell it, get the money, use it to pay your bills. It would be very, very appropriate. Next on Sunday Insight, the decision to send women into combat. When we go to break, Louisiana Governor Bobby Jindal has some unsolicited advice for the Republican Party.
We've got to stop being the stupid party. And I'm serious, it's time for a new Republican Party that talks like adults. It's time for us to articulate our plans and our visions for America in real terms. It's no secret we had a number of Republicans that damaged the brand this year with offensive and bizarre comments. I'm here to say we've had enough of that.
If they can meet the qualifications for the job, then they should have the right to serve, regardless of creed or color, gender, or sexual orientation.
Well, you've come a long way. One of the final barriers to women is coming down as the Pentagon says that it will drop its long-standing ban on women in combat. The move will potentially open up hundreds of thousands of frontline positions, including elite units like the Navy SEALs and Delta Force. So is that a good idea, Michelle Litchens?
You know, we would not even be addressing this topic if the Pentagon would have done a study and said that we would be the most efficient fighting force in the world if we had women in combat. Then it wouldn't even be controversial at all. But we're not. We're talking about this because this is a political move to once again make sure that everyone is treated the same. Women and men are not the same, okay? We are different. And the left has been pushing for 40 years to make sure that women are treated the same as men. and we're not. And I think this is a very scary, slippery slope to be going down. I mean, now are we going to be drafting women into the military?
Well, that's an interesting point, whether or not women are now going to be asked to register for the draft like men are.
Well, and what happens when only one woman qualifies to be a Navy SEAL? Yeah. Does Congress say, you know, maybe we need to have 10% of the Navy SEALs become women?
But if she does qualify, if she goes through and meets all of those standards, why not?
I think it gets back to the fact that if we want our military force to be the best, most aggressive, most efficient in the world, can we do that and still have women in those circles?
Okay, Michael Holt, you've actually been in combat, so I want to get your take on this. What?
And like we were saying before, I was in Vietnam and I saw women in the front. They weren't getting combat pay, but they were in danger. You know, it's a bit ironic because about 10, 15 years ago, I was pushing for women. I was saying if you want true equality, then this is the last hurdle you got to overcome. And I was pushing it. Women were attacking me then. They seem to have somewhat the same opinion you have. But we don't necessarily need to have a 250-pound woman in the front lines. There are ways that they can serve. Some will be excluded, but they should be. They should be drafted.
Okay.
I think some of these
drafted.
Yep. Some of these goofball politicians will think twice about starting these stupid wars if they think their daughter's going to get shot instead of the men.
Okay, Brian Fraley.
Okay, I have no problem with women in the military if that's what the commanders believe would be the right thing for the force. I think the concept of trying to deal with all social equality issues through the military, this isn't like segregation on the base of race. This is segregation on the base of qualifications.
Okay, Bill Clover.
I've covered wars. It reflects the situation on the ground. Women are already in combat. Of course, we had Michelle Whitmer from Wisconsin who was killed. I spoke to her father in the last few days about this. He said he was getting letters home from her before her death. They were in combat, getting RPG, getting small arms fire at them. If women are qualified, go for it, he said, and that's what many of the women in the military are saying. If they're qualified, go for it.
If they're qualified, and that I think is the key, is whether or not the standards are reasonably set as opposed to lowered to make a political point.
Well, you also needed, you know, in regards to special forces, there were three, I believe, three soldiers with Wisconsin National Guard female who worked with special forces.
Okay, let's gaze into the crystal ball for a moment. What are you looking forward to this week, Bill Glauber?
I'm looking forward to the President and the Senate going into the immigration. They're supposed to make the presentation this week. I think it's going to be fascinating.
Okay, Michelle.
I think we're going to see some action on the mining legislation this week, so I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, Michael Holt.
I'm looking for this Common Council meeting to confirm the newest member of the Fire and Police Commission. All these politicians have been talking, all the yang. Let's see if they walk the walk now.
Okay, Brian Fraley.
Of course, I'm looking forward to the launch of WriteWisconsin.com. Monday around lunchtime on your tablet, on your cell phone, on your PC and on your Mac, WriteWisconsin.com, the new online home for conservatives in the state.
Well, I'm looking forward to that too, but I'm also looking forward to at least one of the Harbaughs losing the Super Bowl. Too bad both of them can't. Next on Sunday Inside, our panel picks the winners and losers of the week, but first here's your morning news update. It's time for our panel to pick the winners and losers of the week. Bill Glauber, you're first.
The winner, President Barack Obama. We used to have political honeymoons, no more. But this week, for a few moments at least, the nation paused, listened, and perhaps reflected on this singular man and the office he holds. Loser, Mitt Romney. He should have attended the inauguration, following in the footsteps of another Massachusetts governor and defeated presidential candidate, Michael Dukakis.
Michelle Litchens.
My winners are the 200 Marquette dental students and local dentists and volunteers who donated their time Saturday to give over 600 low-income children dental screenings and cleanings. This is a prime example of what makes our country great, and they should be commended. My losers are the elected naysayers at the mining bill hearing this week. Representative Halsey called it a kangaroo court, and Senator Dale Schultz said it sounds like this hearing is in communist China. Come on, if you have a suggestion, propose an amendment. Instead of grandstanding, try participation. Or are you just opposed to jobs in Wisconsin?
Michael Holt.
I agree with Bill. Obviously, the winner was Barack Obama, who laid out an agenda for the country that is rooted in not liberalism, but instead in Christianity, taking care of the poor. My losers, it'd be Republicans if they start trying to block every initiative. If the best they can come up with this at this particular time, the start of a new administration, is whether or not Beyonce lip sync, We in for a long 4 years.
Yeah, well, you didn't lip sync that just now, did you? Okay, Brian Fraley.
My loser this week is Hillary Clinton. She leaves the public service under a cloud that is Benghazi. We may never know the whole truth about the entire incident, but what we do know is that she lied, and her public reaction after the assassinations was just horrible. My winner this week is Hillary Clinton. She spent a few hours dancing with lawmakers on Capitol Hill, and now for her, the whole mess is done. Her admirers still love her, and the mainstream press, well, I repeat myself, they're never going to lay a glove on her.
Okay, well, my loser, I agree with you. I forget the media spin that you've heard the question, what difference does it make is going to haunt Hillary Clinton? She may not know it yet, but she was a loser this week. My winner, Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clark Jr., who cut a powerful radio spot telling people to arm themselves because personal safety was no longer a spectator sport. It was a bracing dose of common sense, and you can tell because liberal heads are exploding all over town. Thanks for joining us. Join me for my radio show Monday morning on News Radio 620 WTMJ from 8:30 until noon. Have a great week.